finished recording your vocals, don't go straight to the mixing stage, because before that, there is an essential step that will allow you to focus 100% on mixing your vocals and nothing else. If you want your vocals to sound professional at the end of the process, don't miss this step. Editing. What's up everybody, it's IDs, I hope you're doing well. Today, in this video, I'm gonna talk about one of the most forgotten steps of the music production process, which is the editing phase. Through this video, I'm gonna tell you what are the exact steps you need to go through, why they are so important for the final quality, and how you can implement these steps in your workflow. But before we start, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you're the first one to know every time I release content and videos on music production. And also in the description, you'll find a link for a free ebook that talks about the basics of vocal mixing in the field of pop and hip-hop music. You just have to click on the link, enter your name and email address, and you will receive it automatically from me. Alright, let's get started. So first, what is editing exactly? If I had to give a definition of editing, it would be this. In the field of music production, editing refers to the meticulous process of refining recorded audio or MIDI data to enhance its quality, timing, and structure. Editing contributes to the overall precision and professionalism of a song. So during the editing phase, we won't create anything as it would be the case for the recording stage. And we won't process each track to make them sound more unified as it would be the case for mixing. Here with editing, we will work on each track to make them cleaner and more precise within the song. And to be honest with you, editing is definitely not the funniest stage of the music production process. It can be very time consuming and it doesn't really give you any satisfaction.
Not cool. Not cool!
But I swear, if you go 100% through the editing phase, you really increase your chances of getting a pro result at the end of the process. Okay, now that you know what editing means, let's see what it involves for your vocals. The first thing you should do after recording your vocals is compiling all your takes. You probably did several takes. Some were probably better than others in some areas, and some not so good in some areas. So the goal here is to select all the best takes at each point in the song to make the best possible comp. This can be blocks of phrases as much as it can sometimes be words or even syllables. But as you can see here in one of my last recording sessions, you can sometimes get a lot of takes on a very small portion of the song. By the way, this is something that producer Phineas does to the extreme with Billie Eilish. Literally every second you have a new take, and you can't even hear it from the outside. So yeah, really take the time to select the best takes, even if it's time consuming and not super fun. It will save you a lot of stupid backtracking during the mixing phase. Another thing you have to do during the editing phase is to remove noise from your takes. When you record something, you might think that there is no noise behind what you record and that there is just silence. But first, silence doesn't exist in music recording. And secondly, if you record in a home studio, there's always some kind of noise that you will need to remove before mixing your vocals. And even if you might think, I barely hear it in solo, why would I hear it in the mix?
Good question.
Well, what you have to keep in mind is that this background noise can accumulate and increase during the mixing process, making your final mix more amateurish. To remove background noise, you can either do it manually by deleting all the spots where there is no vocal and only noise, or you can use intelligent noise removers. All the AWs on the market have this kind of tool. In Pro Tools, it's called Strip Silence. By the way, the shortcut to open up Strip Silence is Command U on a Mac, or Control U if you're a Windows user. If you want to learn more about Strip Silence, I put a link in the description that will lead you to an article I wrote on my website that talks about how to use Strip Silence. But whatever the intelligent tool you use to remove noise, you have to be careful not to remove a thing that is essential to maintain a certain life in the track. Breaths. Many people think that breaths are something that need to be removed every time in vocal mixing, but that's not true. Some singers and rappers breathe very loudly, others very softly. It really depends on the person. So the way you process the breaths will be very different. But in most cases, like 98% of cases, removing the breaths is not a good decision, because it can really create a feeling of hole for the listener and make the song sound less human. The ultimate goal in dealing with breaths is to find the happy medium of having them at such a level that they're not too loud and unpleasant, but still noticeable to keep it real for the listener. Just like cleaning up background noise, you can either process breaths manually or use an intelligent tool such as deep breath from Waves, for example. Personally, I don't like using intelligent tools for breaths because I think they should all be processed differently. And even if cleaning them manually takes much longer, I know it will be much more accurate. Now it's time for a step that is overlooked by many people: adding fades to your clips. It may seem useless, but if you don't add fades to your clips, you really increase your chances of having clicks and pops in your future mix. But why? Because when you cut an audio clip in a waveform, you're actually stopping the wave from completing its period. In other words, you go from a certain volume to silence. And what results from this is a click. So what you can do to prevent this is to add fades. Fades simply reduce the volume gradually to minus infinite over a given portion. This portion can be several seconds or 1 or 2 milliseconds long. It is essential to put fades in and out on all your audio clips, even if you think you've gotten the silence. Another thing you should do through the editing stage is timing correction. When you record your vocals, maybe you don't always place every syllables on the tempo, or maybe some word endings aren't perfectly timed. You could also be, I don't know, a little more experimental and move certain words around the grid to create a certain feeling for the listener. As for the backing vocals, they might not be placed exactly where the lead vocal is placed. So you will need to replace them to synchronize them precisely with the lead vocal. With today's technology, you have total freedom to move what you want, where you want. And again, it's something that might seem trivial to the end result, but I promise you that a perfectly placed vocal on tempo can change everything in terms of impact and energy. Oh, and by the way, I forgot something. There's a tool called Vocal Line that allows you to replace backing vocals on the lead vocal in a couple of seconds. Crazy tool. I put the link in the description so you can have a look. And the last thing that the editing phase involves is pitch correction. Here I'm not talking about autotune, because that's a tool you will use at the mixing stage and not at the editing stage. What I'm talking about here is manual pitch correction. This one is a more special one, as it will always require an external tool dedicated to manual pitch correction. Melodyne is the most popular, but I think some DAWs include it in their stock plugins. I think it's the case for Cubase and also FL, but I'm not sure. Anyway, the goal for this step is to tune each note of your vocals precisely and naturally. With tools like Melodyne, you can indeed move each note called blob anywhere you want on the scale of the song. You can also separate each blob, play with the formant, the volume, the length, the precision of the correction. There are no limits with this tool. I gotta be honest, Melodyne is very expensive, but if you really want to go professional, you have to have this tool in your library, because it can really take your vocals to the pro level in terms of precision, and again, it has no limits. I put the link in the description. Alright, these were the main things you have to do during the editing phase after recording vocals. Now that you've done all this, I advise you to copy your track with its audio clips in an alternate playlist, so you can keep your modifications, and to consolidate your clip so that you can have something super clean to work on for the mixing stage. I know all these things might seem too subtle to be essential, but honestly, you have to take the time to do this editing phase, because it will allow you afterwards to focus 100% on the mix and nothing else, which will naturally give you way better results. That is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching all the way through. If you have any questions, post them in comments. I will be very happy to answer them. Before you leave, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel to watch more content like this one. Thank you. See ya. Bye.